Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're going to continue doing some more of the dyno prep that we need to get done. Only got a couple days left to get this thing down, so we got a long day ahead of us. Today we're going to be switching out this stock cylinder head from PCE up in Virginia. New ported head, bigger valves. Going to put some bigger cams in it as well. Also, we're going to be switching out this HEP manifold with the tubular manifold, custom one made by Britton Sharp over there at B&B Race. It's going to be a lot of work, so let's get to it. As you can see, we already got the intake manifold taken off and a lot of the sensors and other stuff disconnected. That was from when I had to replace the gear set. Input shaft broke last time I was out of the track, so I had to take the gear set out, and I had to take the transmission down as well because the input shaft messed up the clutch alignment, and I'm glad I went ahead and took all that off, because after taking the pressure plate off, I come to see that the clutch disc was pretty messed up. It destroyed a bunch of the clutch material on it, so I went ahead and switched that out, put it all back in, and it's good to go. So we don't have too many things to take off to get the head off, so let's go ahead and start. Gonna start off by taking this turbo and wastegate off. We're gonna take the turbo off, and we're going to switch the exhaust housings on it. It's got a 63 AR on it at the moment. We're going to be switching that out to 82 AR to get a little bit more power at the top of the track. Good old S257. Not going to change out the turbo, just going to change out the exhaust housing to a little bit bigger one. Ain't no shaft play in this one, so it's good to go. Alright, next step of this process, we're going to go ahead and take the timing belt off. So we got to get all these motor mounts and everything out, so let's go ahead and do that. But first we're going to put the engine on top dead center. Now that it's on top dead center, we can go ahead and start taking it apart. Make sure you have the engine supported before you start taking your motor mounts off. I just use a jack and a piece of wood, that way it won't damage the oil pan. Gonna need to remove the 3/8 bolts on this damper to get it off. ATI makes a specialized tool to get this removed, but it's a couple $100, and I just didn't want to pay for that. So I went to Advance and got me this harmonic balancer pulley, part number 57187. And as you can see, you just take those 3/8 bolts out, use the black bolts that they have in there, and it comes right out. Next thing we're going to want to do is take this fourth mount bracket off. I got the timing belt, cam gears, the back cover back here off, but I went ahead and put this top mount back on to give me some much needed stability when I go to untighten these head bolts, and especially when I go back to torquing these head bolts. It's going to make it a lot easier to keep the engine from moving around. So now it's time to take off this valve cover and get to taking the head off. finally time to put this PCE head on there, and then torque down the head studs. I only got 4 head studs on there at the moment, just to kind of line up the head, and I'll put the rest of the head studs in there once I got the head on there. Alright, we got the head back on, got all the head studs put in, all the washers and nuts on there. Now we got to torque it to spec. ARP recommends torquing them in 3 separate steps. First one is 28 foot-pounds, then 56 foot-pounds, and then 85 foot-pounds. But I like to go to 90 foot-pounds just because it's always worked good for me. So I know there's people going upwards of 100 foot-pounds, but I've never had an issue torquing to 90 foot-pounds, so that's what I'm going to stick with. After I finish the 3rd step of 90 foot-pounds, I like to wait an hour, come back, and make sure and retorque them, just make sure they haven't loosened any. I'll put the torque sequence up here on the screen somewhere, that way y'all know exactly how to do this. Well, I was waiting an hour to go ahead and retorque my head stud bolt. Figured I'd go ahead and take care of this little oil leak issue. As you can see, we're having some leakage right there on the crankshaft seal. I don't know if you can tell too good. There we go, you can see it now. I had an issue with the previous engine where the crank kept on pushing the seal out, but that doesn't seem to be the case with this one. It's just leaking a little bit. I'm not sure why. It was a brand new OEM seal when I put this engine together, but I am going to go ahead and replace it with a brand new OEM seal, and hopefully that fixes my problems. If you want to take apart your crankshaft gear, here you go. Once again, the old harmonic balancer puller tool 57187 came in clutch. All you need to do is grab some longer M6 bolts, a couple nuts and washers, and it'll come right out. But let's go ahead and replace that seal and put this crank sprocket back in place with the proper tool. None of that hammering shit. These sprockets are discontinued, so I definitely don't want to break it by hammering on it, so I got the specialized tool to make this job real easy. Alright, I got the new crankshaft seal in there. Now I got to put this crank sprocket back in there. And this is the tool you'll need to put it back in there without hammering it away. And the reason to use this instead of just hammering it on there, one, it's more precise, and you can get it in there exactly how you want it. Instead of with hammering, you kind of gotta guess at it, beat at it. This tool is very simple to use, and it's actually was very not that expensive. Well, the one I got wasn't very expensive. Can't remember the name of the site I got it off of, but I'll post it up here in the screen somewhere. They offer a OEM one that was expensive, and this, I guess, knockoff one, you could say, which is the one I got. It's a lot cheaper and works just as good. And like I said, you won't damage the crank sprocket there. because they, especially since they're so difficult to find nowadays since they were discontinued. But all you do is screw it in there and then tighten this bolt up, and it'll slowly push it on there. I went ahead and rechecked the torque specs on the head bolts. They're good to go, so now we can start putting the rest of the valve train back together. First the latch adjusters, and then we'll put the rockers on. These are the 2.7 liter rockers that I got out of a car at the junkyard. A lot cheaper than buying them new, and just as good. Good thing about these is that it has the hose facing the roller instead of straight up like the OEM ones do. Well, like the ones in the SRT4 and PT Cruiser do. You're going to want to torque these Crankshaft 8mm bolts to 105 inch-pounds. I'll put the torque sequence up in the screen. And put a little bit of anaerobic sealant on the end caps and put them on. You're going to torque the 10mm bolts to 250 inch-pounds and the one small 8mm to 100 inch-pounds. Well guys, I finally broke down and got me a solid fourth mount for my car. I had been putting this off for a long time because I didn't want the added vibrations that go along with this solid fourth mount, even though the rest of the mounts are solid. But at this point the car is a damn rolling earthquake, so you know, with the other solid mounts and the K-frame mounts, it's pretty much just shaking the whole way down the road. So might as well upgrade to the solid fourth mount and make it that much worse. So let's go ahead and install it. When you go to install this AGP solid fourth mount, make sure to cut off your little tabs on the fourth mount bracket, or else they'll dig into the rubber on the fourth mount and the frame rail, and you don't want that. So make sure to grind them down, sand them, put a little bit of paint on there so it won't rust. Timing belt is on, good to go. Yes, I know the intake cam gear is upside down. These are prototype real tuned cam gears, and at the time it didn't make a provision to be able to flip the intake cam over for these BC stage 4 cams, because apparently that's how these BC4s are made. And like I said, these are prototypes. The new ones he makes does have a provision to be able to flip over this intake cam, but for now, that's how I'm gonna rock them. Now we can put this all back together. Should be good to go. Well, that's going to be it for this video, guys. As you can see, we got the head on, got the timing done, all good to go. Got the intake, fuel rails, radiator back in, everything that we need to get done up here. All we got left to do is clean out these injectors, install the tubular manifold and all the boost pipes, charge pipe, cold side pipe, and run some vacuum lines. But we'll get to that in the next video, so make sure to stick around, and we'll see you next time. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe.